My beloved child, I need you to pause everything and listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you has been held in heaven's timing and now it's being released just for you. This is not random. This is divine appointment. You were drawn to this moment not by accident but by orchestration, because I've watched you walk through places that nearly broke you, and yet here you are still standing. I see your heart trembling with questions, but let me answer you with truth. Heaven has been waiting on this exact second when you would open this message, and all of heaven is rejoicing because you chose not to give up. The angels that were assigned to you have not left your side even once, and they are shouting with joy because the seal of silence is now breaking over your life. You've cried out in the secret places, and though it seemed like the skies were quiet, I was collecting every word and storing them in my heart. You were never ignored. You were never left unseen. I delayed some answers not to hurt you but to perfect what you've been asking for, because good news without the right timing becomes another burden. But now, right now, my spirit is moving across everything that tried to hold you back, and I am sending this word into your spirit like lightning to awaken what pain tried to numb. You were made for this moment. You were designed for this breakthrough. Every breath you've taken was leading to this divine alignment, and now the waiting ends. The heaviness that's been sitting on your chest is about to break because my word is breathing resurrection into what looked dead. This is why the attacks intensified, why confusion increased, and why your faith felt strained, because the enemy saw what I was about to release. But he has no power to stop what I've spoken. Right now, I am commanding the winds to shift in your favor. I am restoring the years the locusts devoured, and I am reversing verdicts that were spoken prematurely over your life. The good news isn't coming, it's already moving. It's alive. It's activated. It's flowing like a river through dry ground. You will not stay where you've been. You will not be stuck in cycles. You are crossing over into the place of answered prayers, not because you earned it, but because I love you fiercely and I made a covenant with my own blood to carry you forward. Keep your heart open. Don't resist the sudden joy that's rising, because that joy is the proof that my presence is invading what once felt hopeless. This is the moment the pages begin to turn, and your new chapter doesn't start with a whisper, it begins with a trumpet blast from heaven declaring, you are chosen, you are seen, you are free, and you are about to witness what eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. I am with you now, more tangibly than ever before. So stay right here because I am just getting started. You may not realize this yet, but everything you've whispered when no one was watching has reached the depths of my throne, and I didn't wait for thunder or lightning to begin working. I moved in quiet power the moment your lips formed the request. Even before you saw any indication that something was happening, I had already sent instructions into realms you cannot see, and pieces began aligning with divine precision. You wondered if anything was shifting, but I want you to know this. Movement doesn't always make noise. Sometimes, my greatest miracles begin in silence beneath the surface, beyond your senses, in ways too intricate to comprehend. You were looking for signs outside, but the signs have been blooming within you. The sudden moments of peace, the flicker of hope you couldn't explain, the moments you felt strength return when it made no sense. Those were not coincidences. Those were confirmations. You thought I hadn't answered because nothing looked different yet, but I was already ahead of you, creating outcomes you wouldn't even think to request. Your faith didn't go unnoticed, your surrender didn't go to waste. I honored your private battles, and I am responding with a public shift. I heard you when you prayed with trembling lips and a tired soul, and I said yes not based on your performance, but because I saw your heart trust me even in the unknown. I didn't need the world to hear you. I needed heaven to record you, and heaven did. You thought it was taking too long, but I am not bound by human timelines. What I am orchestrating is bigger than the answers you imagined, and if I gave it to you too soon, it would have collapsed under pressure. That's why I slowed things down to fortify the foundation and position the right people at the right place, with the right hearts. And now, I'm activating the release. You'll begin to see evidence appear without warning. People will speak your name in rooms you've never entered. Doors will swing open without you knocking, and resources will arrive without explanation. This is not a coincidence. This is compensation. This is my response to the petitions you made when you were half broken and still chose to believe. I kept every word you said to me in trust, and now I'm fulfilling what you didn't even remember praying for. I counted every sleepless night as worship and every silent groan as intercession. Not one moment slipped past my awareness. You didn't need to prove yourself. You just needed to keep walking, and you did. Even when your steps were slow, I measured them as obedience. You didn't know it, but I've been writing a new chapter under the weight of your faith, and it's about to be revealed line by line. The people around you may not understand how or why it's happening, but I do because I was there when you sowed in tears, and now I'm commanding a harvest in joy. I'm not just answering one prayer, I'm unlocking a chain of events that will rewrite your season. This is not random breakthrough, this is appointed fulfillment. You waited quietly, so now I will respond loudly. You believed when it hurt, so now I will reward you publicly. Watch closely, my child, for the coming hours and days will carry whispers of evidence, signs wrapped in ordinary moments that carry extraordinary power. You will be surprised by how naturally the supernatural unfolds when I'm the one directing the script. So stay expectant, not anxious. Stay open, not overwhelmed. The wind of favor is blowing your way, and it will not miss its target. What I started in secret is now manifesting openly, and you're about to walk into rooms grace prepared long before you knew you'd need them. Keep watching. Keep listening. The answers you forgot are arriving ahead of time, and I won't let a single promise fall. I am the God who hears, sees, and moves, and I've been moving for you all along. There were nights when you questioned whether I was even listening, when the stillness wrapped around you so tightly it felt like I had vanished, but what seemed like silence was actually me working in dimensions far deeper than the surface. While your ears heard nothing, my hands were orchestrating blueprints that stretched further than your mind could reach. I was layering moments, people, timings, and locations in such intentional order that even a single interruption would have compromised the magnitude of what's on its way. That quiet season wasn't empty, it was sacred construction. I was building without announcing it. I didn't speak because I was preserving the power of the reveal. Some things I cannot say until they are secure, and this was one of them. I needed you to lean not on sight or sound but on trust, because trust unlocks what information never can. I've been molding the outcome in silence so that when it appears, it won't look like anything you've ever seen before. It will be something you can compare to another story. It will be unmistakably yours. I wasn't delaying out of neglect, I was perfecting what needed to be flawless. I know what it's like to be misunderstood when you're preparing a miracle. Even my own were confused when I slept during the storm. But they didn't realize that peace was the evidence of authority. I wasn't inactive, I was reigning. In the same way, my quiet over your situation wasn't abandonment, it was assurance. My presence was hovering, not absent. While your surroundings felt still, your destiny was expanding behind the veil. The prayers you forgot, the cries you buried, the desires you labeled as impossible, I took them all and wove them into something exceeding even your most hopeful expectations. I've been crafting details that no man could manipulate, opening paths that can't be sabotaged, and creating moments that only I could pull together. And now, the time of revelation is beginning. You're going to walk into places that feel like déjà vu, not because you imagined them, but because your spirit glimpsed them long before your eyes could comprehend. This is the result of faith that endured when nothing felt certain. You chose to believe when it would have been easier to shut down. You kept walking when standing still felt safer. That movement, even if trembling, gave me permission to multiply what you entrusted to me. I never ignore courageous hearts. I elevate them. I magnify their obedience. And now I am delivering results that cannot be traced back to effort alone, they will point to grace. Those around you may try to explain it, reduce it, or dismiss it, but they won't be able to replicate it, because this isn't manufactured, it's divine. You are stepping into evidence of a designer who never sleeps, a father who never stops weaving, and a king who always fulfills his word. My child, I know how hard it was for you to keep believing when every echo told you I wasn't speaking. But now, you'll understand why the silence was so prolonged, because what I was preparing needed layers of protection. If I had spoken too soon, it would have been exposed before it was ready. I held it in secrecy until it was unshakable. You didn't miss anything. You're not behind. You're not overlooked. You are on schedule, and I am unveiling what eyes haven't seen and hearts couldn't imagine. What comes next will not be subtle. It will carry the weight of my signature, the mark of my hand, the imprint of my love for you. So stay awake in your spirit, for what you thought was absence was actually my focus. I wasn't gone. I was immersed in designing something so powerful that even your deepest faith wouldn't have guessed how glorious it would be. The silence was never the end. It was the preparation before the sound of fulfillment breaks through. And that sound is about to fill your life. You felt the weight of time stretch beyond what your heart could carry, and in moments you almost convinced yourself that my answer had been no, when in truth, I was giving you something better than an answer. I was preparing alignment. What you labeled as delay was actually me holding the door closed just long enough to keep you from walking into something too soon. If I had released the blessing before its foundation was ready, it would have buckled under pressure and brought frustration instead of fulfillment. So I slowed the pace, not to punish you, but to protect the promise. I watched you wrestle with the stillness, and though it broke your rhythm, it was refining your readiness. Some doors looked good but were coated in deception. I kept them shut because I love you too deeply to let you settle for illusions. What looked like waiting was me filtering what didn't match your destiny. I knew what was on the other side of those timelines you so desperately tried to rush through. But I don't work according to speed. I move my purpose. You were focused on time. I was focused on completion. You wanted results. I wanted resilience. I wasn't ignoring your urgency. I was preserving the integrity of what I had promised. Even when you couldn't sense me adjusting circumstances in the background, I was pruning distractions, removing counterfeit provisions, and reordering hearts around you so that when the moment arrived, you'd step into wholeness instead of instability. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned. You are not behind. You are being calibrated. I had to pause the process because something greater was being constructed beyond what your natural vision could perceive. Had I not slowed you down, you would have attached yourself to temporary answers. But what I have for you is permanent, lasting, and rooted in truth. You may have grieved the seasons that felt stagnant, but I was multiplying strength within you that will outlast the season itself. Delays don't mean I'm distant. Sometimes they're my loudest way of saying, not yet, but trust me. And because you waited, even through tears and torment, I am now releasing something that will silence every voice that told you to quit. This unveiling will be marked with my authority, my timing, and my strategy. You will not have to manipulate it, force it, or chase it. It will enter like sunrise, right on time, without effort, undeniable in beauty. I watched as you waited while others ran ahead. I saw you sit still when every part of you wanted to move. But in your stillness, I worked. In your surrender, I sowed seeds that are now bursting forth. The fields may have looked barren, but underneath the soil of delay, roots were being established so deeply that nothing will uproot what's coming. You didn't waste your time. You survived divine pauses that few have the endurance to carry. And because of that, the acceleration that follows will not be natural. It will be heaven ordained. Yours will open with a weight of favor that time could not have manufactured on its own. I will redeem every hour you thought was lost. The years that seemed wasted will bear fruit so quickly. It will confuse those who thought your waiting was in vain. This was never about punishment. It was about precision. And now that the moment has arrived, you'll understand that what you thought was holding you back was actually setting you apart. Every second I delayed was a second I used to shield your promise from exposure too early. Now, the appointed hour has struck, and what was once withheld is now flowing freely. My child, breathe deeply. This is not another pause. This is the moment your preparation meets my performance. The divine delay is over, and what's being released is greater than anything you tried to reach on your own. Each drop that escaped your eyes wasn't unnoticed, it was planted in the unseen places where my hand turns pain into power. I gathered those tears with reverence, for they weren't signs of weakness. They were evidence of unwavering hope held through agony. You cried, not because you were defeated, but because you were determined to hold on when everything around you said to let go. And I didn't waste a single one. Those tears were not signs of despair, they were the waters that nourished something far more beautiful than what was visible. Beneath the sorrow, I was sowing joy. Beneath the grief, I was fertilizing laughter. Beneath the aching, I was preparing overflow. You thought your weeping was in vain, but it was a sacred language, one that moves my heart and stirs my promises. I didn't require words to act on your behalf. I just needed your broken yes. And you gave it. Quietly. Faithfully. In rooms where no one clapped. In valleys where no one saw. But I saw. I recorded every trembling moment as worship. I measured every sigh as a declaration of trust. And now, because of what you endured, I am commanding the earth around you to yield. Your emotional drought is giving way to divine rainfall. Your dry season is collapsing under the weight of what I've been preparing. You are not going to be repaid in proportion to your pain. You are going to be overwhelmed by the scale of joy I am sending your way. It's not just healing, it's wholeness. It's not just restoration, it's recompense. I am turning the very source of your sadness into the birthplace of miracles. Where you cried, you'll soon dance. Where you mourned, you'll soon testify. And it will be temporary relief, it will be a stream that doesn't run dry. Others may not understand how deeply you were crushed, but I do, and that's why the blessing will exceed what anyone could have predicted. You never needed them to see it. I saw it. I was with you when your pillow soaked with exhaustion. I was near when you smiled through anguish. I was holding you when strength failed, but you kept believing anyway. That unseen warfare, that inner struggle, it was not for nothing. Those moments were not wasted, they were woven into the fabric of your destiny. And now, joy is not coming in fragments, it's arriving in waves. My spirit is announcing a reversal of sorrow, a divine exchange of heaviness for gladness. I'm not handing you back what you lost, I'm giving you something new that never fades. You'll laugh again, not because the past is forgotten, but because my presence has redeemed it. I'm not asking you to pretend the pain never happened, I'm showing you how I've transformed it into holy ground. The very places you wept will become locations of celebration. The atmosphere is shifting. The mourning has served its purpose. What once oppressed you is breaking apart under the sound of my command. And as this joy comes, it won't feel fragile, it will be fierce. It will rise in you with such certainty that doubt will suffocate under its brightness. The laughter coming will carry depth. It won't be shallow happiness. It will be grounded in the awareness that I never left, never failed, never forgot. I've watched you carry sorrow with dignity. Now I'm clothing you with beauty that sorrow can no longer touch. What is forming now will not be taken from you. It is sealed, secured, and wrapped in divine timing. Your mourning season wasn't pointless, it was prophetic. It made way for this release. And this joy won't just stay with you, it will overflow to those around you. You'll be a walking testimony of how my love rewrites everything. So let go of the fear that you'll break again. You're not in the same season. You're not the same person. The ground you once cried on is now being covered in laughter, and the harvest has only just begun. I watched every hidden blow, every whispered betrayal, every attempt to diminish your name when no one else was looking, and though it appeared as if they got away with it, I was not blind, nor was I inactive. The injustice that tried to quietly humiliate you has reached its expiration, and now I am stepping in with vindication that will be both undeniable and untouchable. They spoke with confidence because they thought there would be no consequence. They moved in secret, thinking my silence meant absence, but I was recording every detail with perfect justice in my hand. I saw the lies stitched behind your back, the doors closed to you unfairly, the smiles that masked manipulation. And while you held your tongue and continued forward with grace, I was building a response not of revenge, but of redemption so radiant that it would expose every shadow by the brightness of my glory over your life. You did not retaliate, and because of that, you've made room for me to act with power. You didn't try to defend yourself, and now I will be your defense. You endured their silence, their rejection, their distortion of your motives, and you still chose humility. That posture of surrender has reached my heart like a cry from the altar, and I am answering with exposure, restoration, and elevation. The very ones who tried to erase you will now witness what happens when I raise someone they tried to bury. I will not only bring you justice, I will bring you visibility. I am placing you in positions where the very people who dismissed your worth will have no choice but to see the honor I'm wrapping around you. Not to shame them, but to prove that I always stand with the ones who walk in truth. I know the ache of being misunderstood, misrepresented, mistreated, and so do you. That is why this next move is personal to me. I am healing what they wounded, lifting what they trampled, and breathing new identity where they tried to stamp out your voice. You did not seek the spotlight, but I am placing favor upon you that no shadow can hide. The vindication will not be loud with arguments, it will be quiet with undeniable fruit. They won't need to hear a rebuttal, because the evidence of my hand on your life will speak volumes. I will give you dignity where they gave you dishonor. I will crown you with confidence where they tried to cloak you in shame. I will raise your head where they tried to bend your back with weight you were never meant to carry. You will rise not in bitterness but in brilliance. Not with a grudge but with grace. I will cause others to see you through a lens they cannot distort. Because it won't be your voice they hear, it will be my authority that announces your return. No lie can silence what I am about to proclaim over your life. And what I declare cannot be reversed. You will no longer walk as the one who was tolerated, you will walk as one who is treasured. The same platforms from which they excluded you will become stages where I display my favor. The same spaces that rejected you will request your presence. The same mouths that spread falsehood will be silenced by the weight of the truth I'm revealing. I am not doing this in secret, I am doing it publicly, so there will be no confusion. Your promotion will not be quiet. Your elevation will not be subtle. This is not for applause, it is for my glory. I am lifting you in the open, so that the same eyes that watched you break will now witness you bloom. I'm not interested in revenge, I'm invested in your restoration. You trusted me to handle what you couldn't confront, and now I will reward you with the kind of peace that no slander can disrupt. Prepare yourself to walk through doors they never thought you'd even see, because the one who saw what they tried to hide is now making all things right completely, publicly, and permanently. I know there were moments you felt invisible, like the world moved on and left you in the shadows, unnoticed, uncared for, bypassed while others seemed to rise without effort. But I want you to feel this truth settle deep into your soul. I have never turned my face from you. You were not lost in the crowd. Your name hath been written on my heart since the beginning, and not for a second did I lose sight of you. When everyone else was busy chasing their own desires, I was standing by your side, attentive to your sighs, aware of your thoughts, absorbing the ache in your chest as if it were my own. You were never on the outside of my attention. I watched you press on when encouragement was nowhere to be found. I saw how you spoke kindness into others while longing to hear just one word of hope spoken over you. I caught every thought that wondered if you still mattered, and I silenced every demonic whisper that tried to convince you that your life didn't count. It did. It does. And it always will. Ironess is not measured by noise or activity, it's felt in the stillness, in the breath that fills your lungs when you think you can't take another step. Even when your surroundings screamed loneliness, my presence was wrapped around you tighter than the air you breathe. I was there when no one stayed. I was near when the silence echoed louder than the pain. I stood beside you when the weight of rejection tried to crush your worth. You didn't know it, but I was the one holding your spine straight, giving you just enough strength to rise again. Not because you weren't tired, but because I would not let go. You were never abandoned. You were never discarded. Even when people forgot your efforts, I wrote every act of faithfulness into eternal record. What others passed by without notice, I celebrated in heaven. When you loved sacrificially and received nothing in return, I took it as a royal offering. When you chose humility over retaliation, I lifted your name in places no one else could access. The feeling of being forgotten was never from me. It was a lie planted to keep you from stepping into the significance I breathed into your being. You are seen more clearly than you could ever imagine. And not just seen, I've marked you for a purpose so specific that no one else can fulfill it. There's a role only you carry, an assignment uniquely tailored to your design. And I am closer now than ever before, not observing from a distance, but walking within every heartbeat, every decision, every unknown turn. You will never be too far for me to reach, never too broken for me to restore, never too behind for me to catch you up. I dwell with the crushed in spirit. I abide with the weary. I wrap myself around the ones who feel forgotten, not to sympathize from afar, but to infuse them with assurance that I never forget. Your life is precious to me not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. You are mine. My gaze hasn't shifted. My hand hasn't loosened. My love hasn't paused. While others scanned for outward success, I lingered in the depths of your unseen perseverance. While you felt passed over, I was preparing to bring you forward. And when I lift you, it won't be to prove anything to people, it will be to reveal the intimacy you and I have built in the fire of obscurity. What's coming next will not be about popularity, it will be about proximity. You are not being raised for performance, but for presence. I am doing it because I love you, because you trusted me when it was hard, because you remained when others left. And that's why I want you to know this now more than ever. I have not moved away from you, I have drawn so near that even your next breath cannot come without me. That's how close I am. And I'm not leaving. What looked like defeat was never your downfall, it was divine repositioning. They thought they were silencing you, covering you up, ending your influence. But I was placing you deeper so that your roots could reach places shallow victories never touch. You didn't fall apart, you were hidden for protection, for growth, for transformation. When opposition came like a flood, I allowed it not to drown you, but to saturate the soil for your future increase. You felt the weight of being pushed down, misunderstood, forgotten, but what they called failure, I called preparation. You were not buried by darkness, you were sown in purpose. The grave they tried to throw you into was actually sacred ground where I began crafting an indestructible foundation. You didn't lose your voice, you were being tuned to speak with greater clarity. You didn't lose your value, it was being multiplied through adversity. I allowed the crushing not to punish you, but to produce something fragrant, something lasting, something heaven designed. The pain you endured in isolation was never about punishment, it was about purification. I needed to cut away what couldn't go with you into this next season. And while the world saw absence, I was cultivating resilience. I didn't explain it to everyone because they weren't meant to understand it yet. Your journey isn't for spectators, it's for my glory. You were buried so I could resurrect you on ground no one expected you to rise from. The enemy wanted you to disappear under pressure, to sink under the opinions, to collapse beneath exhaustion, but instead, I turned every ounce of that pressure into potential. I knew exactly what I was doing. I hid you long enough to ensure that when you emerge, nothing will be able to stop the bloom I placed within you. There's a depth in you now that can't be shaken by applause or abandoned by silence. Your growth doesn't depend on being seen, it depends on remaining connected to me. And you stayed. Even when it was painful. Even when the dirt felt suffocating. Even when you questioned if you'd ever see light again, you remained rooted in faith. And because of that, I'm causing fruit to burst forth in areas where people thought your influence had ended. The ones who walked away will have to watch what I've cultivated in secret rise with beauty, with impact, with strength that couldn't have come from comfort. I didn't need you to prove anything, I just needed you to trust me underground. I know how deep it got. I know how silent it became. But I also know what's growing now is unstoppable. I'm not bringing you back the same, I'm raising you as someone who can withstand storms and still shine. You're not coming forth weak or weary, you're rising steady and sure, not with the same wounds but with healed skin and holy confidence. You were pressed but not broken. You were cut but not destroyed. You were tested but not defeated. And now, what's coming from you is legacy, not fleeting impact, but generational shift. I've anointed you not just to rise, but to flourish, to build, to bless, to carry my presence in places no one else can reach. I trusted you with the depth so I could trust you with the heights. And now, the unveiling begins, not to prove your worth to people, but to demonstrate my faithfulness through your life. What you thought with the end was only the beginning of something incorruptible. My child, you are about to rise not as a survivor but as a sign of my power. The very soil that tried to silence you will now serve as the platform beneath your promise. You are no longer hidden for survival, you are emerging for impact. And no force can reverse what I've planted with my own hands. You've walked through rooms where your presence was tolerated but never embraced, where your name was mentioned but never honored, where your gifts were used but never celebrated. I watched you give your best when others gave you their indifference. I saw you pour yourself out for people who couldn't recognize the treasure they were standing beside. But I never needed their approval to confirm your significance. Before a single soul had an opinion about your identity, I established your worth in the most permanent ink heaven has ever known, my own sacrifice. I didn't whisper your value, I declared it by stretching my arms on that wooden frame and purchasing your life with the costliest currency in existence. Their silence didn't decrease your beauty. Their rejection didn't reduce your radiance. You were never created to fit into their limited boxes or confined expectations. I didn't design you for their shallow applause, I designed you for eternal purpose. And that purpose wasn't shaken by their inability to perceive it. I did give them the authority to define what I crafted with divine intention. You are not a mistake. You are not excessive. You are not too much or not enough, you are precisely as I intended, carrying layers of depth, power, gentleness, and boldness that reflect facets of my heart this world desperately needs to witness. I placed rare oil in your spirit that many will not recognize at first, but the time is coming where the fragrance will be impossible to ignore. You've been misjudged because of your quiet strength. You've been dismissed because you chose depth over display. But that wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. You didn't strive to prove your worth because somewhere deep inside, you knew I had already spoken over you. Mine. Precious. Chosen. And that word is still active, still alive, still standing. It will never expire. They may have walked past you, but I have been walking beside you. They may have doubted you, but I have been championing you. You didn't need a spotlight, you needed endurance. And you shown it. You didn't collapse under pressure. You rose silently, steadily, in the unseen places where true greatness is forged. And now, because you kept showing up without applause, I am exalting you in ways that no man can block. Your value was never meant to be understood by everyone, it was meant to be revealed by me. I placed you in places of obscurity, not to punish you, but to preserve the treasure within you. They weren't qualified to see it, but I always saw it. I see how you keep showing love even when it's not returned. I see how you continue to believe in people even when they fail to see your heart. And I see the tiredness in your soul from giving so much without receiving what you deserve. But I want you to know, I've been keeping track, and I will not allow your labor to go unrewarded. I'm stepping in to restore what they overlooked. I'm placing value back where it was stripped away. I'm speaking truth over the lies that tried to make you feel like your best would never be enough. I'm healing the wounds that came not from strangers, but from those you trusted. This next season is not about proving your worth, it's about walking in it. You will no longer explain yourself to those who never saw you. You will no longer shrink to be accepted. I am expanding your territory, not for attention, but for influence. What you carry must be released now, not buried beneath doubt or wrapped in insecurity, but displayed with confidence rooted in me. You are not who they said you were. You are who I died to redeem. And I do not make worthless things. I do not call average what I bled to rescue. So stand tall, not because you feel ready, but because I have already made you worthy. Let the world underestimate you if it must. I will elevate you in such a way that no one will question why you were chosen. They'll know. It was never man's doing. It was mine. You weren't picked by their systems, but I chose you from eternity. They may have scrolled past your name, skipped your story, ignored your presence, but I set my seal on you long before anyone had a vote. My selection wasn't based on your popularity, position, or platform. It was based on my love for you, a love that cannot be altered by time, public opinion, or personal failure. I did not need the world's agreement to affirm what I have spoken over you. While they looked for polished appearances and familiar resumes, I looked for heart yours. When you walked through doors that didn't open, you assumed you were disqualified, but what you didn't realize was that I had already rerouted you to a higher path. They dismissed what they didn't understand, and you blamed yourself for their blindness. But I never needed them to notice you in order to raise you. You were not designed to be everyone's choice. You were designed to be mine. I didn't consult their expectations before writing your calling. They rejected what didn't fit into their limited framework, but I rejoiced over what I had uniquely placed inside of you. While they saw complication, I saw commission. While they saw convenience, I saw anointing. Your journey has not been overlooked by me. On the contrary, I've been carefully walking beside you, step by step, shielding what they tried to trample. You've been carrying oil they weren't ready for. You've been walking with wisdom they couldn't recognize. You've been holding peace in atmospheres that didn't understand how you could remain unshaken, and the reason is simple. You are mine. I carved out a space in my purpose that only you could fill. I didn't call you to blend in. I called you to rise above the noise, the trends, the ever-shifting demands of people who never saw your heart. What they discarded was my masterpiece. What they criticized was my craftsmanship. You were never meant to gain their acceptance. You were meant to carry my presence. And my presence will go with you into places that once closed their gates. You will walk into rooms not because you conformed, but because you remain true to what I placed within you. I honor the ones the world misjudges. I crown the ones who refuse to compromise. I elevate the ones who stayed surrendered when no one was applauding. You didn't retaliate. You didn't try to fit in. You didn't silence your uniqueness just to be liked. And because of that, I'm putting my hand under your feet and lifting you up where no one can take credit for your ascent. This is not a rise for show, it is a rise for purpose. Your authenticity will make space for others to be free. Your obedience will awaken others from imitation. Your scars will preach louder than polished speeches. And I will be the one confirming every step. I know the pain of being misunderstood. I know what it feels like to be unwanted by crowds yet chosen by the Father. That's why I walk with you so closely, because I know how it feels to be chosen and crushed in the same breath. But you endured. You kept your heart soft. You kept your eyes on me. And now, I am rewarding you with authority, not based on man's hierarchy, but on heaven's decree. I didn't just rescue you, I called you. I didn't just heal you, I anointed you. I didn't just comfort you, I commissioned you. They didn't see it, but I never took my eyes off of you. Even when you doubted your place, I was holding your identity steady. You were never lost in the crowd. You were never just another name in the background. You are my chosen vessel, set apart, shaped by fire, formed in hiddenness, and now released in boldness. The mantle I placed on you is not borrowed, it is yours. Walk in it. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't apologize for your fire. Don't wait for validation from those I never assigned to understand you. My choosing is final. My calling is sure. And my hand is on you not for a moment, but for a mission that only you can fulfill. You've stood before entrances that seemed impenetrable, praying with hope yet watching them remain still, unmoved, sealed, cold. You knocked until your knuckles bled and still nothing shifted. I watched as you waited, as you fasted, as you kept your faith alive in rooms where it felt like opportunity ignored you. But I need you to understand those weren't missed chances. They were protected moments. I never allowed access because the timing wasn't mature and the environment wasn't pure. Not every opportunity is a blessing. Some more traps dressed in temporary applause. And because I love you too deeply to allow counterfeit success to contaminate your purpose, I held back what you thought was right so I could release what is truly yours. But now, the delay has completed its assignment. What was locked due to misalignment is now being touched by my authority. I am turning the latch myself. What no strategy, no connection, no effort could make possible, I am doing it now with one movement of my hand. You don't need to force this. You won't have to beg or explain. What's opening next will open effortlessly, undeniably, and unmistakably because I authored it. This won't be a half shift or a partial change, this will be a floodgate. Where you once stood feeling denied, you will now walk boldly into access that carries my seal. You will not knock this time, the gate will respond before your hand even reaches for it. You're stepping into a space where my favor moves faster than human plans. The places that didn't return your calls, the roles that didn't recognize your qualifications, the paths that seemed to vanish when you tried to step forward, watch as they now unfold under your feet like prepared ground. My hand is opening doors that don't just fit your desires, they match your design. No more squeezing into tight spaces to feel relevant. I'm expanding the frame so that you can walk in carrying everything I gave you, unmuted, unhindered, unashamed. What's waiting on the other side isn't just a position, it's a platform for impact, for legacy, for kingdom expression. And no one will be able to say it happened by coincidence. It will be evident that only my hand could have orchestrated such access. You've been faithful in the silent fields. You served with no reward. You've remained when others shifted, and I took note of every moment. I'm not opening these doors just to change your scenery, I'm opening them to elevate your reach. Where once your voice felt silenced, now it will echo. Where your gift was hidden, now it will be magnified, but not for your glory. For mine. I'm not doing this because you demanded it, I'm doing this because you carried obedience like a crown, even when it was heavy. Now, the season of closed places is over. No man will be able to bar what I have commanded to release. No barrier will hold back what I've marked for movement. You will not chase doors, they will meet you. You will not twist keys, they will yield at my command. And when they do, you'll realize they were never stuck, they were waiting for my signal. This moment is sacred, because what opens now won't close again. It will remain accessible, sustainable, and protected. Not just any door, my door. And with it comes peace, provision, and purpose aligned. You will walk in and not feel out of place. You will move forward and not look back with regret. The chapter ahead doesn't start with struggle, it begins with supernatural access. So lift your head, straighten your back, prepare your heart. The wait didn't cancel the promise, it preserved it. And now, I'm placing your hand on a door I've already unlocked. Walk through it, my child, not in fear, but in confidence. I have made the way, and what I open no one can shut. The attempts to tarnish your identity, to dim the light within you, to reduce your story into something ordinary, none of it succeeded in my eyes. They tried to label you by your losses, define you by your detours, measure you by moments of weakness, but I never changed my view of you. I saw the lies that were spoken behind your back, the misunderstandings that followed you like shadows, the efforts made to discredit your intentions and dismantle your progress. But none of it had the power to rewrite what I declared over you from the beginning. Now, I am rising in your story not just to defend you, but to renew you. Where your name was associated with struggle, I'm restoring its honor. Where people attached gossip to your presence, I'm attaching my glory. Your reputation doesn't need to be cleared by them, it's being covered by me. I am the God who not only redeems situations, I redeem legacies. They tried to define you by a chapter you've already healed from, but I'm placing my hand on your identity and rewriting how they remember you. You will no longer be known by what broke you, you will be known by the beauty that rose from what couldn't destroy you. The ridicule, the suspicion, the silence you endured, it all attempted to bury the truth of who you are. But I've been preserving your essence behind the scenes, waiting for the exact moment to shine light on what they tried to bury in darkness. Your name is not tied to shame, it's tied to promise. And I am lifting that name back into view, not to glorify your pain, but to reveal my power in how I carried you through it. What was stolen from you, be it peace, clarity, position, time, relationships, or opportunities, is not lost beyond repair. I am not just giving back what was taken. I am restoring with interest. What the enemy tried to reduce to ashes, I am raising into evidence of my faithfulness. I've seen where the enemy crept in subtly, draining your joy, stealing your sleep, robbing your sense of direction. I've seen how he twisted narratives and exploited moments to make you question your own heart. But no more. I'm stepping into the ruins and breathing new structure where there was once collapse. I'm not using new materials, I'm rebuilding with what you thought was useless. The fragments are becoming foundations. The dust is becoming strength. What felt like debris in your hands is actually raw material in mine. You will not walk through life as one who barely made it, you will walk as one who overcame through divine rebuilding. Your scars won't signal defeat. They will signify restoration. I don't need to erase what happened to show the beauty of your journey. I will transform it into the proof that nothing is wasted in my kingdom. And that spark inside you, the one that used to burn so brightly, the passion that once fueled your dreams but now feels like embers, I'm breathing on it right now. The flame they tried to snuff out with ridicule, comparison, betrayal, and fatigue is not dead. It is flickering, and I am fanning it with my breath. I am reigniting your inner fire, not with old ambition, but with fresh purpose. You won't move forward with the same motives, you'll move forward with divine clarity. You'll no longer feel drained by trying to prove yourself, you will feel alive in simply being who I made you to be. The dreams that felt delayed are not discarded. The vision that became blurry is not abandoned. I'm igniting again, not the copy of what once was, but the evolved version that only now can emerge. What was once dimmed by disappointment is becoming radiant with revelation. You are not going backward, you are stepping into something deeper, truer, purer. I am the one who restores, rebuilds, and rekindles, and I am doing all three in you, right now. The voices that have crept into your thoughts, those quiet, lingering tones that question your worth, mock your progress, and predict your downfall, those are not from me. Fear has dressed itself as caution. Doubt has disguised itself as reason. But none of it carries my signature. I am not the author of anxiety, hesitation, or panic. I don't speak in trembles or threats, I speak in truth, in peace, in fire that silences every lie. You've entertained the idea that maybe you aren't enough, that perhaps you've already missed it, that somehow the weight you carry is proof that your future has been diminished. But those suggestions are not divine, they are designed to derail you. You've heard them so long they almost started sounding like your own thoughts, but I'm exposing their origin now. Those were never planted by my spirit. They were forged in fear, watered by weariness, and spoken into your ear by forces that tremble at the sight of what's coming for you. I am not asking you to wrestle with these lies, I'm asking you to reject them. Cast them out. Evict them from the house of your mind. Because I am busy crafting your story, and fear has no seat at this table. You assumed the delay meant disapproval. You assumed the silence meant distance. But I have not withdrawn my presence, I've been rewriting your narrative with my own hand. And the ink I use is not erasable, is not tentative. It does not fade under pressure. Is favor pure, unstoppable, sovereign favor. It writes beyond your weakness, beyond your resume, beyond what people expected of you. I'm not editing your past, I'm illuminating your future. I'm composing lawns of redemption that no critic can cancel. What I've begun, no power can revoke. The chapters ahead aren't stained by the pain you endured, they are charged with the power you gained from it. You thought your story was closing in, but I'm extending the scroll. You thought the narrative was winding down, but I've just turned the page. What fear told you was the conclusion. I am proving to be the introduction to your greatest unveiling. You don't need the approval of those who walked away. You don't need confirmation from people who couldn't see beyond your current circumstance. What you need, what you already have, is my voice, speaking louder than the internal storms. I am not echoing the world's commentary over your life. I am declaring something new. This one belongs to me. This one carries my name. This one is stepping into chapters written by heaven. The opposition you faced was not a sign to stop, it was a clue that what I'm about to do through you carries weight. And no one attacks what isn't valuable. And no one tries to silence what isn't speaking truth. You are a threat to darkness, even on your quietest days. You're dangerous to every lie the enemy has spoken over others. That's why fear came hard. That's why doubt crept in. But now, I'm reminding you of who you really are, loved, called, sustained, unshaken. And I'm taking my pen and writing the next parts with acceleration. This favor is not fragile. It doesn't depend on who likes you, who chooses you, or who recognizes your effort. It comes from a place no human can access. It surrounds you like a covering, goes before you like a gate opener, and walks behind you like a shield. It is not seasonal, it is covenant. And it's being poured out in this moment like fresh oil. Watch how quickly things begin to shift. Watch how circumstances bow to my word. What you were afraid would never change will begin transforming in front of you, not because of pressure, but because of presence. My favor will speak when you're quiet. It will make way when you feel stuck. It will increase when others pull back. You don't have to chase it. You just have to stay aligned with me. So silence the inner noise. Turn away from what fear has built in your imagination. I'm giving you a new vision, one built not on assumptions, but on assurance. I'm writing now. I'm moving now. I'm favoring you now. And the story unfolding is far more glorious than what fear tried to predict. You've wandered through moments where the road seemed hidden, where every direction felt equally uncertain, and where choices became heavy because clarity seemed just out of reach. You searched for confirmation but found only silence. You asked for direction but were surrounded by fog. It felt as though each path was coated in layers of uncertainty, and no matter how much you prayed, no door felt fully open. But I was never absent in those moments. I was protecting you from moving before the time was right. You thought I was delaying clarity, but I was guarding you from making decisions based on incomplete vision. I needed you to pause so that I could clear the air, quiet the distractions, and speak with unmistakable precision. And now, that moment has come. What once felt like walking through mist will suddenly feel like stepping into morning light. I am shining my truth across what once looked complicated. The answers you've been asking me for about where to go, who to trust, what to pursue are beginning to form with undeniable peace. You won't feel frantic anymore. You won't have to force understanding or second-guess every move. My wisdom is beginning to fill your heart like a steady stream, washing away the anxiety and noise that once drowned out my whisper. I'm showing you that direction is not always loud, it's often quiet, but sure. I've been shaping your discernment in the silence. I've been training your eyes to see beyond appearances and your ears to hear beyond words. I was developing your ability to recognize my prompting, not just rely on signs. And because you've remained in the place of waiting, not rushing ahead when others pushed forward, I am now releasing revelation that others bypassed. You're going to start recognizing what was never meant for you, and it won't feel like loss. It will feel like freedom. The people, opportunities, environments, and dreams that once held weight but no peace will begin to release their grip. I am not calling you to what's popular, I'm calling you to what's pure. And you will know the difference because peace will be your compass. You won't walk into this next season with confusion hanging over your head like a storm cloud. My word will go before you like a torch in the night, illuminating only what matters. You don't need to see the entire journey, I just need you to follow what I'm lighting up right now. Step by step, I'm guiding you not through chaos, but through calm assurance that you're no longer wandering. You're being led. Let go of the pressure to make perfect choices. I never asked you to be flawless, I only asked you to remain close. The more you draw near, the more clear it becomes. You'll start to realize that the answers were never far, they were simply being preserved until your heart was ready to carry them without distortion. And now that the clutter is falling away, My voice will sound louder than the doubts that once competed for your focus. No more guessing. No more restless overthinking. No more decision paralysis. I am stabilizing your perspective, anchoring your thoughts in me, and pulling back the veil from what the enemy tried to keep hidden. Watch as connections suddenly make sense. Conversations will carry more weight. Moments that used to feel confusing will start revealing their purpose. I'm unlocking understanding in places where you only had questions before. My light is not harsh, it is healing. It doesn't expose to shame, it reveals to realign. I'm not just helping you see where to go. I'm helping you understand why the delay was necessary. And as your insight increases, so will your confidence, not in yourself but in me. You'll stop wondering if you're making the wrong move, because my spirit will confirm what's right with unmistakable peace. So don't be afraid to move forward now. You are no longer walking in circles. You are walking in rhythm with heaven. And every step you take under my guidance will bring you closer to what you were made for. The haze is lifting. The shadows are breaking. And my light is falling directly on the path you once feared. Keep your eyes on me, I'll make the next step unmistakably clear. There were things that looked promising, people who seemed sincere, and paths that felt right in the beginning, but deep beneath the surface, they were not what I intended for you. You were drawn in by what appeared to be an answer, but it was only a shadow of what I had in store. I let it stand for a season, not because it was your future, but because it would help you discern the difference between what merely looks good and what carries my breath. The counterfeit never comes looking like danger, it comes wrapped in beauty, in timing that feels perfect, in words that echo what your heart longs to hear. But I never wanted you to be deceived by imitations. I wanted you to be strengthened by wisdom. And so I allowed certain things to unravel, certain people to walk away, certain doors to close, not to punish you but to protect the space where my fullness is meant to dwell. You grieve with some of those losses. You questioned why something that felt right turned so wrong. You wondered how you could be so sure about something and still be left with nothing. But I was working through every disconnection. I was interrupting what would have intercepted your destiny. What I remove, I replace with something real. I do not take without purpose. I do not subtract without intention. The removal was a rescue. I had to pull you away from what would have drained you in the long term. I saw the agendas hidden behind the compliments. I saw the compromise concealed behind charisma. I saw the chains behind what you mistook as connection. And because you are mine, I intervened. I disrupted what you didn't yet have the strength to walk away from. You may feel like you've lost something valuable, but what I'm about to release is sacred. What I'm preparing for you carries no hidden motives, no secret costs, no emotional manipulation. What's divine doesn't need to be forced, it flows in harmony with my spirit. You'll recognize it by the way your soul breathes again, by the clarity in your thoughts, by the consistency in your peace. What I'm making room for doesn't compete for your attention, it aligns with your calling. It doesn't drain you, it fuels you. It doesn't pull you off course, it walks beside you in truth. That's how you'll know it's from me. I will never lead you into something that costs you your joy, your discernment, or your devotion. You've matured through the process. You're no longer enticed by temporary satisfaction. You're no longer moved by what flatters your emotions. You've grown to crave what anchors your spirit. That hunger is from me. I've been shaping your appetite so that you'll no longer accept less than what I died to give you. I'm not giving you back the same type of connections, the same kind of chances, the same level of doors. I'm raising the standard not to make your life harder, but to elevate your environment to match what I've built inside of you. You're not going to see the same patterns repeat because I've broken the cycles. You're not going to fall into the same traps because I've trained your eyes to see beyond the surface. I'm positioning you now to receive what's pure, what's right, what's been hidden until the right moment arrive. The counterfeit had to be cleared so covenant could come in. The noise had to be silenced so you could hear what I've been saying all along. You are worthy of what is whole. You are ready for what is real. I'm not just giving you good things, I'm giving you God things. assignments that carry eternal weight, relationships that reflect my love, not just fill your time, resources that multiply, not manipulate, peace that stays, not vanishes. And it's coming not because you fought for it, but because you surrendered what was never yours to keep. Let me finish the removal so I can complete the reveal. What's next won't look like what you lost. It will look like what I promise. And this time, you'll know it's me not because of how it starts, but because of how it stays. You've endured things that words could never fully explain, deep, personal aches that tried to redefine your entire understanding of hope. There were wounds you carried so quietly that no one around you could detect how much strength it took just to keep moving. You smiled while your spirit groaned. You showed up while your heart questioned why it even mattered. You prayed through the storm but still wondered if I saw the wreckage inside you. You thought pain disqualified you, as if your hurt somehow made you unusable, unstable, unworthy. But what you didn't know is that I never distanced myself from your brokenness. I stepped deeper into it. You didn't scare me with your sadness. You didn't push me away with your tears. I walked straight into the center of it all and began writing healing into every place you tried to hide. Not with temporary comfort, but with a lasting touch that would turn your darkest night into a doorway of power. The ache that made you question your future is becoming the very evidence that I never let go of you. You see, I'm not trying to erase your past. I'm transforming it into the stage where my faithfulness can be seen in ways no story of ease could ever display. Anyone can talk about miracles, but few can carry them in their scars. And you, my child, are about to carry healing not as a memory but as a mantle. The places where you bled will become places where others find balm. I'm redeeming the exact areas that tried to convince you nothing good could ever rise again. The betrayal you experienced, it's becoming a foundation